Now we talk about phylogenetics. So phylogenetics is where we talk about phylogenies, evolutions, and evolutionary trees. So it's the study of inferring evolutionary relationships. We will talk about phylogenetic trees in it. So here are two ways where we can have these phylogenetic trees. For example, we can have a tree where we can put some genes, gene A, B, C, D, and E. So in this way, it becomes a genes tree. So we can trace the mutation events, that is the changes which take place over the course of evolution between different genes while using this gene tree. Towards the right, we see a species tree. So we can have a species A, B, C, D, and E, which are represented in this tree. Or we can see that species A and B are closely related. Then goes C and D and followed by E. So this is how, if we put all these species together in a tree, we can trace these speciation events. Let's introduce some vocabulary before we move into this topic in detail. Nodes represent taxonomic units. So we have nodes in those trees. We have internal nodes that correspond to ancestral species, which are actually not part of the data. So we have nodes, and then we have branches where we have internal branches. So between two nodes, we see that the internal nodes are connected by internal branches. The most important unit, or we can say the operational taxonomical unit in those trees, is the leaves, or the terminal units, what we see in the end of the trees. For example, species A, B, C, in that tree, they were the leaves of those trees. So the terminal units that appear at the tip of the branches, it can be species, they can be genes, or they can be populations. So external branches are present between the nodes and the leaves, or we call them as OTUs, operational taxonomical units. So leaves are connected to the rest of the tree by external branches, which are actually emanating or coming from some internal nodes. So this is how we can look into these different sections of a tree in detail. For example, this tree is rooted, so it has a root, and we see there are different closely related species which are present on they are joining the same nodes, and then we have distantly related species. For example, we see ratus and mus, which are two species of, one is rat, one is mouse, which are pretty close to one another. Then goes bos, taurus, which is bull, and we see human, xenopus, gallus, they are far away. So let's see the anatomy of this tree in general. So here is the root. So this tree is kind of rooted. So we see that in some further slides we will see that the trees are rooted, or they are non-rooted or unrooted. So this tree is rooted. This is internal branch, so which is ending into some node, some internal node. Here is a node. Nodes are the places from where the leaves they arise or they come out. So remember guys, you might have studied this plant anatomy, or you might have some rough idea about the plants. So nodes are the places on the stem of the plant from where we can get the branches, they can come out, or sometimes the leaves they can come out. So these things are called as nodes. So nodes, in case of these phylogenetic trees, they present some common ancestors. So we believe there was some common ancestor present between ratus and mouse. These are mainly hypothetical ones. So leaves are OTUs, operational taxonomical units, or the actual species, or the genes or populations, whatever is your data from which you are making those trees. So in this example, Homo, Xenopus, Bos, Mus, these are all your leaves. This Xenopus, if you look into the overall tree, it seems like it looks very different from rest of them. So this kind of arrangement, we can call it as an outgroup. This is an external branch, so it is terminating into a leaf. So leaves are present on external branch, which are coming through some internal nodes. Sometimes on the trees you will find some numbers. So here it's representing the nucleotide or amino acid substitution rate. So we see that phylogenetics is the study of evolutionary relationships, and in phylogenetics we try to infer evolutionary relationships among organisms using different phylogenetic trees.